So I want to now transition a little bit. And one of the things I love about working with you is you had a few like simple, cheap tools that you recommended that at the time I was like, this sounds so silly. And I've shared this, many times now with many other people. And I commonly get the same reaction of people like, that sounds really silly. But one of them was something super simple, which is literally a $20 cube timer that you can get on Amazon. And that is still something I use. And like something that's core to the way that I work is you've got it right there. It's just this notion of, either time boxing. So saying, I want to do this thing. It's potentially an open-ended task. So I'm just going to give myself this amount of time. I'm going to work on it for 30 minutes. I'm going to work on it for 60 minutes, and then I'm going to stop. Or the other one is, trying something where it's more of a sprint, where it's like, I don't have a ton of time to work on this today. I want to challenge myself. I may do one or two of these in a day, and it's kind of a nice change of pace, but it's more just like, I'm going to sprint on this and see how much I can get done in 15 minutes or 30 minutes, or just challenge myself and say like, I know realistically it might take me, 25 minutes. I'm going to see if I can get this done in 15 minutes, but it's so simple and so powerful. Like, do you have other tools like that? And what are some of the either software or physical tools that you lean on in your life?
Yeah. First, the cube timers. So I'm sure a lot of listeners are familiar with Pomodoros, and the power of time boxing is that time conforms to the space that we give it. Right. Classic Parkinson's law. Task expands to the amount of time that we have to work on that task. If anyone has worked on a team project knows this, things miraculously get finished at the deadline, no matter when the deadline is. It goes back to what we were talking about habits, making it so low that you can't say no. So much of procrastination is a failure to get started. And so, how do you write an essay? You write the first word, and then you write the first sentence, and you write the first paragraph. And I'd like to talk about it as a verb change from like, what's the smallest possible step of going from I'm going to do this thing to I'm doing this thing. And a lot of that is just lowering the bar for how far I need to go before I can take a break, before I can celebrate. And so for me, I default to operating in 25-minute cycles following a break. But a lot of times I will set a timer for 5 minutes and say, for the next 5 minutes, I'm only going to do this thing. And that works as like, oh, I'm really stuck between these two options. All right, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to write down all the arguments for both. In the end of 5 minutes, I'm going to make a decision. Because most decisions are like, am I having chicken or steak for dinner? And I'm like, it doesn't really that matter all that much, but eventually I get hungry. So I need to make a decision. It's like minimizing that time to allocate to something, creating that constraint. But I just need to do anything to get started. And so it's like setting that bar as low as possible. The opposite part of time boxing, which I think a lot of people miss, goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning as far as sprinting the wrong way as fast as they can, is if you limit the amount of time that you're sprinting with this interval of, okay, now I'm going to take a step back and say, I'm going to continue this. And so I think for me, a classic one recently is I'm working on a new web page. And it's very easy to get in the weeds with a new web page, as I'm sure you know as a designer, Daniel.
Yeah.
And so every 25 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, well, is this actually like the best thing that I could be doing? Do I really need to rewrite this paragraph? And it creates that rail where things don't go off the rails. That being said, other kind of tools or like cheap things that I think are pretty interesting. And the reason that I think they're interesting is because by experience, they install these principles. Like you're saying, like a simple timer, but that helps you internalize these principles of creating time boxes.
Subscribe to Outliers with Daniel Scrivner now in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And be the first to hear about new episodes and receive exclusive content by joining our newsletter at outliers.fm. I can't wait to help you level up and live your best life.